Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about upgrades to do to a carry gun. What upgrade should you do? So you buy your first carry gun, and what ends up happening is that you'll go to the forums and you'll have people telling you, well, you need this item or you need that, or you shouldn't do anything, you should spend your money on training, all this different advice on there. So let's kind of dive into this and figure out what is actually worthwhile doing, what's not, and what matters for a self-defense situation versus something like a competition, right? Where it's not really quite as detrimental if you lose, okay? So let's dive into this and see what upgrades we should or should not do to our firearm. Okay, so as a general rule, I don't want to make many changes to a defensive use carry gun, right? A defensive use firearm. Now, all of my guns are for defensive use. I use them in competition to keep my skills sharp and to do that, but I'm not a competitor by that sense of the word, right? I don't shoot USPSA and race gun categories and stuff like that are guns that nobody can actually use defensively. I shoot guns that I use in a defensive format, which is why I shoot IDPA exclusively, and I focus on that aspect of it, which means all my guns are for fighting at the end of the day, right? They're here as a tool to defend somebody's life. So I want them to be set up appropriately for that, and then I do competition on the side, right? I'm not doing competition first and then hoping that the gun is good enough for self-defense, right? I do it the inverse method, okay? So we build the gun for self-defense and then wear it out in competition, okay? So a couple of things on that. What changes do I want to make to my gun? As a general rule on factory firearms, when we start making changes to the internals, we start having reliability problems, right? As we put more complicated pieces in there, pieces that weren't meant for that, pieces that aren't fit by a gunsmith that are quote unquote drop-in, we start seeing problems with that. This is a huge issue with the Glock guys that like to make their Gucci Glocks, and they'll go put $1,000 worth of parts in there, and then their Glocks tend to have problems, okay? We see it all the time on the range. Now, do they all have problems? No. Some of those guys really actually do know how to put together a gun. They do their research on the parts. They test each part individually before they put them in. So they'll put a new trigger in there, and they'll run 1,000 rounds through it. And then they'll put a new whatever inside their gun, a new plunger, a new something else, and they run another 1,000 rounds to it. And at that point in time, they have tested that firearm to make sure that those things function and work well together.